2024 has come and gone, and with that, it's an opportunity for you to reflect on what you did last year. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my year, what I learned from it, and I'll also be telling you what I want to do in this year, in 2025. I think we all know what it's like to go through a year and to feel like you kind of just wasted it, and to feel like you could have done it better. So this year, you can make it different. This year can be different for you, but you must be willing to take the opportunity to learn from what you did in 2024 and then to apply that to 2025. So my top 3 priorities in 2024 was, number 1, YouTube videos. I wanted to focus on adding more YouTube videos to my channel, making more, getting better at it, getting better at making videos. Number 2, it was, in the beginning of the year, it was to get a job. As the year went on, I changed it to starting a business. So you could say it's like becoming financially self-sufficient and being able to depend on myself financially. And then number three was spiritual growth. Number 3 was spiritual growth. So throughout the year, things changed, things happened. I released the first video of 2024 in March, I believe. And after that was a big break, I think. And then I started to become more serious in June. Started to focus more on it. And I started releasing about 2 videos a month. And I've decided to keep that going. To keep that going into 2025. And I actually really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed making YouTube videos. And I made the decision that I would ignore the external results, because really you shouldn't be focusing on it, especially in the beginning. If you're focusing on the external results when you first start making YouTube videos, it's a waste of time. Okay, if you don't have growth, if you don't have external growth, if you don't have lots of views, like, who cares if it's when it's in the beginning? Okay, because it's going to come. I had that mindset, and I still have that mindset, that it's going to come. I'm not actually bothered about the views. I'm not bothered about the comments, the likes. I don't really care about that. What I care is about, am I making videos that I'm proud of? Am I making videos that I would watch? I'm not particularly interested in, right now, that is, how many people like my videos, how many people want to come back to my videos, how many comments, how many shares. I don't really care. I don't think about that. It's just not important. It's very far away from the number 1 priority for me when it comes to YouTube. So I held that mindset throughout 2024. And I didn't make videos every week. There were times when there was a long break. I was working on other projects. I wasn't putting out something public, but I'm still willing to commit. I'm still willing to keep going. Right. Because for me, my purpose is that I want to make videos not for myself, not just for myself, but I actually want to make videos for the people in my life so that they can learn, they can become better people. Also for like my future, like maybe I'm going to have children. Maybe they're going to have children. And so in that sense, I'm doing it for my descendants, doing it for my lineage, so that they can learn, and so that, it's like, oh, hey, my granddad, was making YouTube videos. What should we watch? What kind of topic are we dealing with today? And just like providing that resource for them, and providing that resource for the people that I know, for my community. Yeah, so that's my purpose for making YouTube videos, actually. And because that's such a long-term purpose, and that purpose goes beyond me, goes beyond my life. Focusing on the external things, feeling like, oh no, I don't have 5,000 subscribers already, within 30 days. Oh, like that's like just so pointless. For me, that's an absolute waste of time, because I'm focusing so far out. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. So that's YouTube. Starting a business, getting a job. How did this go? I think compared to YouTube, I don't think I had a long-term vision for this. I had a legitimate plan for getting a job. And I remember looking back on it a few days ago when I was planning this video and just realizing, like, oh my days. Like, it really just hit me. I could run with that. I could take that plan. That plan is still there. I can actually run with that. And I actually felt so inspired. By my past self. And I actually felt grateful that the plan was there, because it was so clear. But very soon after making that plan, even putting in the work, taking action on it, I think I lost sight of the end goal. I think because I set my goal so close to me, I didn't make it, so far out, or so purposeful, so meaningful. So, I was working on learning a skill set. It was to do with coding. I was learning coding, but at some point I stopped. And then something else came into the picture, and then I moved my focus. And then, this job to do with coding fell away. So, yeah, there was a lack of commitment there. And then throughout 2024, I was going from thing to thing to thing, trying to become more financially self-sufficient. At some point, I had a conversation with one of my close friends who lives very close to me, lives a minute away from me. Had a great conversation about business, and that made me feel like, oh yeah, I can start a business. So, I did so many things, and you're actually going to hear about that later in a future video. One of my next videos, I'm going to be telling you about something that I did to do with business. I'm going to be going deeper. But yeah, that didn't come to fruition. I didn't start making money from it. And yeah, throughout the whole year, I wasn't making money. My own money. So yeah, that's something that is for me to work on. Also because, yeah, at the beginning of the year, I set a goal to do with getting the job. I set a goal attached to that, and it was external. It's like there's a deadline, and once you get the goal, you have the goal, and then that's that. It's finished. Right? It's external. It's not internal. It's not ongoing. So yeah, I continue to work on it, but yeah, at some point, yeah, I realized maybe I should just move on. So later on in the year, when it got from September onwards, I had a shift. I started to move my focus. I started to focus on something else, started to focus on something different. At that point, I actually started learning a language, started focusing on learning a language, which was Korean. And yeah, that was my main focus, on a Korean course. Not just like off YouTube, but an actual course where there's homework, there's content, there's things for me to study, there's things for me to learn. So I started to focus more on that. And then my third priority being spiritual growth, I actually started to focus more on spiritual growth. I found some creators on YouTube that were talking about some incredible things that really resonated with me. So I went deeper into it. I went deeper, and I learned some new things about spirituality. I opened my spiritual senses, and in that sense, I grew. So I definitely think that spiritual growth was something that I worked on this year, whether or not maybe it wasn't every month I was focusing on it. Definitely from September, October, November, December, that period, that was like quite big for my spiritual growth, and I think I learned a lot during that time. So now on to what habits did I make or drop in 2024. I started experimenting a lot more throughout 2024, from January to December, in different ways with my morning routine. I'm someone who loves a good morning routine. I think it's very important, and I did a lot of things this year. Like, I got up really early. I started getting up at 5 a.m. and I did it consistently, day after day. So I feel more confident in my ability. Like, if I need to get up early, like, I can do it. If I need to get up at 6, 5:30, 4:30, like, I've done it before. Right, so getting up earlier, that was one thing. I started adding more things to my morning routine, like more meditations. Like, I'd have like different kinds of meditations. I do like different meditations in the morning that would target different things. This is actually relating to my spiritual growth that I was talking about earlier. And something I did throughout this year was stretching. I did a lot of stretching. That became part of my morning routine, I think, before 2024. And I chose to keep going with that as well. The next group of habits that I was working on, that was also new to this year. One of them is new to this year. Another one wasn't new to this year, something I've done before, was reviews. So something that I was doing before 2024, something called a weekly review. And very simple. At the end of the week, I write things down about the week. And the purpose of it is simply to save the information in my journal so then I can look back on it. And the purpose isn't really for me to look back on it necessarily 1 month later, even though it might be very useful actually for me to do that. Whether it's 1 month later or 2 months later, 3 months later, but like 5 years later, 10 years later, for me to look back and to actually see how far have I come. So that's really the purpose, having a record for me to look back on and for me to see how far I've come. Something new that I did was something called a progress review. This is similar to the weekly review, but it's every 2 weeks instead of every 1 week. And this is a bit more detailed because it's more long-term than 1 week. So there's more information for me to cover. There's more experiences for me to talk about. So since it's more long-term, it feels like there's more leverage. There's more that I can see. When I'm doing it. There's more information that I have access to me. However, there were some times when I stopped doing both. There were times when I struggled. I let it slide, the habit. And then at some point during the year, later on, I actually brought it back. I was able to bring it back. I started focusing on it more. And then again, I let it slide. Since then, I haven't brought it back. I think maybe that's something for me to work on. Maybe that's something that I can bring back and I can use again. Another habit that I was working on this year was working out, exercising. I don't go to a gym. Instead, I just work out at home. And I'm quite happy with myself. Compared to previous years, this year I was much more consistent. Definitely in the beginning of this year and the middle. In 2024. In the beginning of 2024 and the middle of 2024. I think afterwards I started to stop working out as much. I still kept going, but it was a little bit less regular. I did start something. I started a pull-up counter, actually. Basically just something on my phone, on my notes app. And it's basically me just like counting how many pull-ups am I doing every day. And I don't have to do pull-ups every day. Yeah, I started it from the end of August and I kept it going. And I actually got to 1,032 pull-ups from the end of August to end of December, which that's a high number, right? And then that's there also to give me evidence of like, hey, like you work out, you do exercises, you work on your health, you work on your fitness. And it's that evidence to keep my brain motivated, because you can see, because you've logged it down, I logged it down, that I've made progress and I've got something to lean back on. So it actually feels easier for me to do more pull-ups, because I know I've already done 1,032 pull-ups. I've actually done more since then, even though during December and during this month, January, I wasn't doing as much. I hardly did any compared to previous months. In September, I think I pulled off like 435 pull-ups, but then in December I think maybe like 30 or something, which to me, I'm okay with that. I'm not bothered, because I know that I can keep going this year and this month, and I know that I can actually do that again. I can do 400 again. If I've done it before, I can do it again, So I'm quite happy, even though I wasn't working out and doing like, long 15, 20 minute, 30 minute workouts. There's the pull-up counter there. Some days I do like 33 pull-ups throughout the day, which is quite a lot, right? For some people, especially for some people, that's a lot. For maybe some people who are more advanced, maybe they can do more pull-ups in one go. But obviously I'm on my own path, so I'm not really focused on if there are other people that are better than me. I'm also not really aware of people who are better than me. So, in that sense, I just focus on my own growth. I focus on my own progress, and it helps me to stay focused. I'm not comparing myself. That's kind of a waste of time. It is a waste of time. So, yeah, working out, exercising, it's something that I'm happy that I'm starting to become more consistent in. And as the months will go by, I feel like I'm going to be bringing that habit back more, and I'll be taking care of my health more. Last year, 2024, I learnt some pretty crazy things. It's building on a foundation of the past years of 2023, 22, 21, which started with a commitment that I made in 2021 that I would take my life into my own hands, and that, I felt like I was protected. I was raised in a good atmosphere, protective atmosphere in my home, but I realized that I started to depend on them. So basically I wasn't really growing that much. And this was in my mid-teenage years in 2021. I was 16 at the time. And yeah, I decided, I think now's the time. I've been depending on my family. I haven't really been growing that much year to year, as a teenager. Also because you're trying to figure out things, so growth feels slow. Growth can feel slow. Very often you're a product of your environment. You're on autopilot. If you're not educated from an early age about what you can be doing, the power of your mind, how much responsibility you can actually be taken, even from an early age, even from the age of 13, from the age of 10 even, you wouldn't be taking responsibility. You're not educated, you don't know. I made a commitment in 2021, and I know that has created a foundation for where I am now in 2025. Just recently turned 20. Yeah, I'm very grateful for everything that I've done. I've become very grateful and very happy to be myself. I'm happy with who I am. So in 2024, one of the biggest things that I learned is that I need a clear purpose. Otherwise, I find it hard to commit when I come across something new. I realized that when I find something new, it's very easy for me to close off my energy from everything else that I've been focusing on, and I lock in. Oh my goodness, I need to get water. Right, y'all. Back at it again. Okay. Yeah, in 2024 I learned if I don't have a clear purpose, then when something new, when I'm become aware of something new, and it's like, oh my days, it's so exciting. Wow, so cool. All my attention shifts to that. And then everything else that I was doing, I kind of forget about it, which is not good. That's not very good. So, yeah, I learned that. But I also learned something else that I learned, is that I can change that. You're not fixed. You're never fixed. And actually, it's easier to get it right than it is to get it wrong. If there's something that you want to do, if you want to change yourself, if you want to make yourself into a better person, it's not actually that hard. It's not that hard. In fact, it only takes 5 minutes. It only takes 5 minutes to start, to give it a go. So the second major lesson that I learned in the later part of 2024 was, if you change your words, you can change your life. If you start saying extraordinary things, then at some point you're going to start leading an extraordinary life. If you start changing your thoughts, if you start changing the words that you say, okay, then you're going to start changing your life, actually. Because I learned that the mind is very simple, actually. I learned about the mind, how simple it is, how it takes you away from pain and closer to pleasure. So if you keep saying something that you're doing, that you're supposed to be doing, that's actually helpful to other people, and if you say that it's bad, it's like, oh, my job is killing me, oh, this is so bad, and like, it's like the thoughts, you repeat those thoughts. Or it's like, even you say to someone else, when you get home, you start complaining about your job, you start complaining about everything that's going on, you start complaining about this, about that. What do you think's going to happen? You're basically like poisoning your mind. Okay, you're poisoning your mind. And you're giving it bad words. All you're feeding it is nonsense. So, what do you think your mind's going to do? At some point, you're probably going to become sick. And your mind is going to be the one that's responsible for that. Your mind is like the best personal assistant. It does everything that you tell it to do. It does everything that you say. Okay? Everything that you say goes for the mind. So, start changing your words. Like affirmations, they work. I think they actually do work. Okay, repeating affirmations in your head, saying them. At a certain point, you have to be a bit delusional. For some people, it may feel like it's completely 100% delusional about your physical life. If you want to have an incredible life, then you actually need to ignore physically what's going around, what's happening around you, because you need to create momentum. You need to create momentum. If you want to change, you need to create momentum. It doesn't happen from nowhere. Okay, there's no such thing as an overnight success, because an overnight success to outside people was actually the result of momentum, of work that was put in over and over and over and over again, until at some point everything came to a head. Everything came to a head, and then boom, there was growth. There was loads of growth. Okay? maybe to you when you see someone and it's like, the next person who's, I don't know, become a billionaire before the age of 25. Actually, for that person to become a billionaire before the age of 25, I don't know if someone's been able to do that. It's the result of work that's been put in over and over and over again. Strategic work to eventually find something that works. And then starting to exploit that, which leads to growth, and then something big happens. If you want to change, then you need to start creating momentum. How do you create momentum? Start changing the thoughts, start changing the words, become more self-aware. If you need help, then just ask the people around you. Ask your friends or your family or your colleagues, what words do you use on a daily basis? What are the things that you say? And then, you could go from there. Change your words, change your life. That's something that I'm applying. I have faith that I can change my life through changing my words. And I think you can too. So that was the second major lesson of 2024. My third major lesson was simply the importance of taking 100% responsibility. This actually links back to the first and the second lesson, the things that I learned this year in 2024. If you're not taking 100% responsibility, you're a product of your environment. You're going to be influenced by your environment, and you're going to be moved here, there, and everywhere by your environment. Here, you're going to go this way, you're going to go that way, you're going to go up, down, front, back, left, right. Do you want to be doing that? I don't think so. Okay. Once you start taking 100% responsibility for the words that you say to yourself, okay, in your thoughts, something starts to change. It takes time because you need to create momentum. Okay, it takes time, it takes commitment. But at some point, if you're willing to be committed, then something's going to change. Something's going to budge. Okay, something's going to move. And you're going to start seeing progress. Because I have seen progress in my life. When I made a commitment, something happened. Something started to happen. And you need to take responsibility for everything. Doesn't matter what it is. If you can control it, then take responsibility. But what you should know is that you can't always take responsibility for other people. The person that you can take responsibility for is yourself. Okay, your own reactions, your responses, okay, your actions, what do you do on a daily basis? You can control that. That's what you have the most amount of leverage over. So that, in a big way, is what you should be focusing on. Okay, 100% responsibility. Because it's your life. Okay? You can look outside of yourself for as long as you want to get guidance. What should I be doing with my life? Until you take responsibility, until you sit down and you start actually thinking about, okay, what do I actually want? And for some people, you actually have no idea. So if you actually don't have any idea, then what I think you should start doing is by start writing down everything that you don't want, everything that you don't like, everything that doesn't resonate with you, right? It doesn't feel like it's on your level. Everything that you don't want to be doing, that you don't want to be saying, that you don't want to be seeing, that you don't want to be hearing, okay, that you don't want to be experiencing. Okay, you start from what you don't want, and then that's going to help you to guide you to more specifically what you do want. Start taking 100% responsibility. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are. You always have the opportunity. You always have the choice because you have free will. Okay, you have free will. You have the choice every minute of every day to change yourself. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is all it takes. So now I'm going to move on to this year, 2025. What am I focusing on this year? What's my priorities for this year? So for me, my top 3 priorities are to share my gifts and talents more, so to give more to other people. I realized that I've been spending a lot of time by myself for the past few years, focusing on my own growth, and I realize now I'm at the stage where I can start giving to more people, much more easily. Number 2 is to strengthen my relationship with God, with my higher power, because I know that that's an incredible relationship. That's an incredible thing that I can be doing. I can draw power from that relationship, and I can help myself, so I can help others too, so I can give back to others. And then number 3 is to take responsibility for my dreams. I told you earlier about taking 100% responsibility, about changing my words, changing your words to change your life. So that's a priority for me. And I'm happy with what I've done, because it's not really external necessarily. Taking responsibility starts from the inside. It doesn't start from the outside, it starts from the inside. So in a sense, yeah, these priorities are all, you could say, internal. Of course, maybe for some of them there's a bit more, there's something external involved. I think there always is something internal and external involved in goals. Right, but of course there's a difference, there's a proportion between, how much of internal, how much of external. And the last question that I want to talk about is, what personal qualities do I want to develop this year? The first thing that I want to develop is a tender heart, a soft heart, a gentle heart. What I mean by this is not that I can't deal with something hard, or I can't face suffering. It's that I'm more flexible, and that I'm more forgiving to myself, and I'm able to be more forgiving to other people, because my heart isn't hard, right? It's not hard. It's not like a rock that it can't be changed. It's not like that. It's something that can be moved. It's something that can accommodate other people, something that can love other people, and it's something that can help me deal with hardships much more easily. I feel like if my heart was hard, so to speak, then I probably would find it hard to take care of myself. If I made a mistake, then I'd probably be like, oh my days, Chris, what are you doing? Oh. I'd be like all, worked up about it. I'd be thinking about it all day long. I'd just be like, oh, why did you make that mistake? And then what happens to my day? What do you think would happen to my day? Probably the rest of the day would start to go downhill. Okay? Because I'm not taking responsibility for my words. Okay? If I start saying these things, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're so bad at this, you're so bad at that. Why did you do that? You could have done that better. I'm telling those things to my mind. If I'm doing that, if I'm not taking 100% responsibility, and if I'm not aware of what I'm doing, then, my mind is going to start to create something, to create situations that are actually quite harmful. Because something that you need to know is that your body follows your mind. Okay, your body always follows your mind. Your mind will start to give directions to your body. Okay, your mind is always listening, and it's controlling your body, and it's telling your body what to do. Okay, now change doesn't happen instantly. Okay, so it takes time. Once you start changing the words, okay, you start reprogramming your mind, it's going to take some time. Okay, but at some point, your mind is going to start talking to your body, and it's going to start to give your body behaviors for your body to enact. Your body is actually going to start to follow what you're telling it naturally. Okay, there we go. A tender heart. That's the first quality that I want to develop in 2025, or something that I want to work on. The second one, number 2, is to be a visionary, to be willing to actually dream big, and then to make that dream 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger, and then be willing to go after that, and be willing to be committed to that dream. Because very often, actually, the destination will determine the process, right? The things that you do, that lead to your outcome, that lead to your goal. If your goal is not specific, if your goal doesn't create clarity for you, then, the process is similarly probably going to be full of, like potholes, like difficulties, and like, what did I say for that? You don't know, because you didn't create clarity with the goal. So if you make the goal very clear, and you make it detailed, you make a plan, the process is going to be much more easier. Okay, so being a visionary, number 2. Being a visionary. And then number 3, an attitude of responsibility. This is so important. This is like the foundation. For me, this is like the foundation. I've talked a lot about responsibility in this video. That was like a no-brainer, I'm writing that down straight away. I want to be responsible for myself. I want to be responsible for my words, my thoughts, my actions, my behaviors. So, yeah, that's what I want to say. That's what I want to say about my 2024, and what I want to be focusing on in 2025. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you can reflect on your 2024, make your own goals. Make sure you have a plan for 2025, for this year, because you can make it special. If you change the words, you can make it special. But it could also be the same as last year if you're not willing to take responsibility, if you're not willing to change the words. When you start to give to yourself, when you start to change yourself from being in what you might consider a lowly place to a higher place, then it's actually much easier for you to start giving to other people, to start being of use to other people. You can actually give something like so incredible, so special. Just you walking into a room, you move the atmosphere. If you want to get to that point, then start taking responsibility. Become someone that people can rely on, people can depend on. Become someone that can inspire other people. And it all starts with taking responsibility. And it's so simple. It's very simple. It's a simple commitment. Step by step, you start doing things to take responsibility, and then the change will come. If you stay committed, if you put in the time, if you put in the work, the effort, if you're willing to, then something will come. Something special will come. So that's all I have for you today. Keep going with your goals. I believe in you. You got this. All day long, we got this. Because we can do this. We can make something special for each other and for the world. So, hope you enjoyed that. Have a wonderful rest of your day.